Welcome to SMFMS Bookends, a satellite show for Save Me From My Shelf, coming out every week after our proper episode. On this show, we read listener letters, answer questions, include extra analysis and episode outtakes, and have a brief chat about the things we're currently reading, watching, or playing. Hello, you are listening to SMFMS Bookends. Jiggery-pokery over here is Daniel.
Ooh, that's hard. That's really hard.
Okay, are you going to bitch at me because the last one was too easy, this is too hard?
Jiggery-pokery, what's American for jiggery-pokery? I can't even think when you would say jiggery. Do you guys not say that?
No.
None of that jiggery-pokery. Just let me think about this, alright?
Okay.
Jiggery-pokery.
20 minutes later.
I'm just going to say, I'm going to play on the sound rather than the meaning.
Great.
And I'm just going to say, call back. Piggly Wiggly here. It's Abby.
This should not have amused me as much as it did. Alright, just a few general updates. Daniel, we haven't done a shoe report in a long time. How are your shoes holding up?
I'm not wearing the boots.
The boots, forgive me.
I'm not wearing them today.
Okay.
But the boots are fine.
Okay. This is an update because, Daniel's a hard walker. He walks hard.
I'm a hard walker and a hard talker. Yeah, like Dewey Cox.
Like the Dewey Cox story. He walked through his boots, his beloved boots, and got diddled by a dodgy cobbler who overcharged him, and I will never let him forget it. The last update is on the great Lusophone debate. Because, Daniel, you're always catering to our Portuguese-speaking fans. I actually just got back from 2 weeks in Portugal, and I picked up a copy of the Lusiads at that tiny bookshop in Porto that's like the most beautiful bookshop in the world, and it really was. So I wonder, who's going to be more beloved? You, who just gives them lip service, or me, who went there and ate all the octopus they had to offer?
Are you so servile that you actually have to go there to try and beat me?
No, I went there...
No, I went there. Sardines. No. Jesus, get it. It's desperate. Weeks of desperation. It's embarrassing.
Are you just mad because I went on a nice holiday?
Yeah.
And finally, I also learned a piece of trivia that is based on a long-standing joke you and I have. So several years ago, I believe we were drunk at the pub. You were trying to convince me that tap shoes were invented by somebody named Henry Tapp.
That it's not to do with the sound of the tapping. I kind of forgot the joke, actually, but yeah.
You're still amused by it.
It's a funny joke.
I did discover one, though. Pilates was invented by somebody named Joe Pilates, and I cannot stop laughing at that.
I can't tell you what Pilates are.
You know Pilates. It's sort of like a yoga, ballet, strength core training. It's like lots of, quite long, fluid movements. It's very difficult.
Have you Pilated?
I have. I hate shit like that. Just stick me on a treadmill.
Okay. Like a Victorian convict.
Yeah, you know my roots.
Yeah.
Do I look like I have muscles in any way toned? No. I don't do that.
I would say you look a bit like Popeye, so yes.
Thank you.
I suppose that makes me blue toe.
You're my olive oil. Okay?
Yeah, I have like olive oil.
You're straight up and down. Popeye!
I love Popeye, it's very funny.
Of course you do. Well, speaking of my hideous looks, why don't you read one of our listener letters?
This is an email from Sean, who I think's written in before.
I think so. Pretty sure. Are you upset by this letter?
No, I was just sort of having a kind of...
midlife crisis, I think.
Moment, yeah. This is what Sean says. Hey! Big fan of the show. You guys are so funny, and Abby is so hot.
Oh, Sean, if you're over 25, I'm giving you a sly little wink right now.
Well, I was thinking that there's a certain type of young man who feels very entitled.
Oh, shut up!
To say things like that about a woman, and not extend that to her male co-host. Why can't I be called hot?
You have to be hot first.
Ah, there we go. There's the rub.
Well, thank you for noticing, Sean.
Yeah, good face for radio. Yeah. Thanks to you guys. No, this is the rest of the letter. In case you hadn't guessed by the change in my tone. Thanks to you guys, I finished reading A Tale of Two Cities, which I had earlier abandoned part way. You're right. After you get past the first few chapters, it gets really good. The first few chapters were my favourite chapters.
As usual, Daniel is ugly and wrong
Yeah,
about
and
everything.
so me and Sean are just not... We're like night and day, aren't we? You guys should do The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I would love to do that.
It would be really funny and has lots of parallels to The Monk.
I've wanted to do some Hugo for a really long time. I feel like if we did Hugo, you would make me do Les Mis, wouldn't you?
Kind of don't want to do either.
Okay. I would love to do that, actually. Should we long list that? Maybe medium list that.
Yeah. I've got a copy, which is usually the first hurdle you have to pass with it.
Daniel's such a cheap bastard. He doesn't want to read any books he doesn't already own.
Yeah, exactly. Or, this is another recommendation.
From my new boyfriend, Sean.
Yes.
Careful, my fiance, Ben Barnes, is going to be very upset.
Or, Troilus and Cressida. Shakespeare's sordid, anti-heroic, anti-romantic play. I'm just like, I don't even know that one.
I've never read that. I could not tell you one thing about that one. My Shakespeare knowledge is actually really alarmingly bad.
Set of the Troy, right? Isn't it set of Troy?
Okay, so maybe I do know one thing about it.
Chaucer did a Troilus and Cressida.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we should do that. We should do both. That'd be interesting.
No, thank you.
Okay. Or Titus Andronicus. For some reason, even many Shakespeare enthusiasts seem to hate this play, but I loved it. Anyways, keep up the great work. S. First letter terms. Pretty intimate.
Well, thank you, Sean.
Yes, thank you. Here's one from Madalena. Could be Portuguese, I'm not sure. She doesn't say she's not. Something she probably could be. Hello, Abby and Daniel. 2 exclamation marks. I just listened to your episode on Ivanhoe and loved it.
Oh, good.
2 exclamation marks.
You don't need to list the punctuation.
That's the end of it now. But, well, in terms of exclamation marks, there are obviously all the requisite commas and full stops, and I applaud you for that, Madalena. I read Ivanhoe a really long time ago, and I remember thinking it was a weird book, but didn't remember that much about it. In regards to anti-Semitism in the book, I wonder if Scott was trying to reconcile modern anti-Semitism with medieval-style anti-Semitism. I've read papers that have defined 19th century anti-Semitism as a political anti-Semitism, especially in Eastern Europe, where you had people like Karl Lueger saying that he gets to decide who is a Jew and who isn't, and medieval anti-Semitism as religious anti-Semitism. Both can be tied together through blood libel cases, but the motivation for public outrage in these different time periods seem to be different. I guess Scott doesn't get too much into that, but I thought it was something to consider.
Madalena, that's a really good point. Like, it sounds like you have kind of a fantastic dissertation on your hands with that. That's like feels like something you could really sink your teeth into.
Yeah, that would make a nice essay.
That
wouldn't
would,
it?
yeah.
Different forms of anti-Semitism. I mean, I'm sure it's been done, but not necessarily about Ivanhoe in particular. But
or from that angle,
yeah,
perhaps.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that though, because I was saying how I suppose if you are a crusader and you genuinely truly believe that, although I mean whether Brian de Bois Guilbert does believe that, but if you genuinely truly believe that Christ is our saviour, you would look at a Jew and be like, why aren't you on board?
Yeah.
Yeah, you actively. But by the 19th century, it turns into a more like racial or national discourse.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's what she's saying, isn't she? And we talked about that as a kind of an ambiguity in Scott's book. So I thought you got me thinking anyway. And the final thing is, I wonder, for a future episode, if you would consider reading The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. It's my favourite book and the reason why I studied Eastern European history.
Have you read that? Because I read that. That was, I think, the last book I read before I went off to university, and I was working as a nanny to some atrocious children, and I just remember trying to sneak away and hiding in closets and things from these awful brats to try to like just read a few more pages while they watch SpongeBob
What is it?
SquarePants.
I don't even know what it is.
It's a sort of a vampire hunting thing based on Dracula, if I remember correctly. I remember really liking it, but it's like these scholars who are thinking they've tracked down perhaps the real Dracula, and they're like, oh yeah, Dracula, we've practically memorized this as a book, like it's a fun story, but here's actually what's going on. If I remember it correctly. It's, that's a long time since I read it.
That sounds like it would be a good book for the Patreon book group.
That would be a fantastic one, actually, for that.
That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, thanks for all the work you do, Madalena. 3 exclamation marks. So...
That was a great email.
Yeah, thanks, Madeleine. I really enjoyed that, yeah. Here's one from Fabio, our good friend Fabio.
He's our resident classicist.
And our greatest Lusophone fan.
Tell us, Fabio, who do you love more now?
Fabio, he knows what I'm putting down. He's picking it up, as you would say. Hi, Abby, 1 exclamation mark. Hi, Daniel, 2 exclamation marks. He's done the Towering Inferno.
I saw that.
Ego thing. Yeah. It's Fabio again, your greatest Lusophone fan. Obrigado to you, Fabio, for your supportado of our podcast style.
Not offensive at all.
They love it. They love a bit of banter, don't they? That's what keeps them keen. Like the very not misfired favela joke. I feel like I'm gonna get shot dead in Lisbon. That's just gonna happen. Anyway. I have listened to the Ivanhoe episode, and my 15-year-old self feels very vindicated for deciding to skip this book and the whole of Walter Scott back then. I did feel tempted later as I became a more hardcore opera fan. They have hardcore operas?
Yeah, rock operas, hello.
Yeah, okay. There are several excellent Italian operas based on Walter Scott works, but I could never be bothered. It seems like I really dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, I wonder, with an opera, if we're not talking about, like, the Ring cycle or something, that's a much smaller time investment, I suppose, than reading this, 500-page book. So, I wonder, maybe it is. Maybe there's something there.
I strongly suspect that I'm not, as we all know, I don't like Italian opera. But
Yes.
But I'm wondering if the libretto, I'm sure it's not drawn directly from the book. I imagine there aren't these very long arias about people's bodkins or whatever, jerkins and bodkins.
Yeah, I'm imagining they really streamlined some of that
Sex
shit.
it up, I'm thinking, yeah. That being said, if you ever find yourselves doing another piece of classical literature, you can easily find me at the other end of the phone line. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So Fabio wants to be our classical Justine.
Oh, Fabio, I would never do that to you. You have no idea what you were signing up for in terms of our production schedule.
We haven't even got a classical text going up, which is a shame.
I've been trying to talk Daniel into, in a subsequent season, doing the new Emily Wilson Iliad. I would love to do the Iliad, but you don't seem that interested, do you?
Well, I just thought, can't be bothered. Also, I've got a different copy of the Iliad as the main thing. I thought, again, it's all about what I own.
I can let you borrow.
Well, I like writing in books.
Yeah,
Case closed.
Yeah. Shut it down.
Anyway, all the best, Fabio. P.S. I have half a mind to join your Patreon if you could bear my pedantry.
Of course.
It's a pedant-friendly space.
Yeah, it's a real pedant-friendly space. Come on, we're there. Hello.
So, yeah, thanks for that, Fabio.
And now for our segment, Bad Goodreads Reviews, the remedial sessions. And today, we are going to be doing The Great Gatsby, because we did not have this segment when we recorded that original episode. Can we agree that Nick is such a bisexual mess and he needs to acknowledge it? 1 star. That's a 5-star review. Why is that getting 1 star? Oh boy, okay. Pales in comparison to Frank Herbert's magnificent epic Dune.
Sorry.
1 star. Daniel, I need you to understand that this comment was left in 2018. Long before any of the modern adaptations come out. What does Dune have to do with The Great Gatsby? Why are you commenting on this? The Great, quote-unquote, Gatsby felt like being scammed at the supermarket, like eating a banana or some other mushy food. 1 star. No offense, but this is a big no-no. 1 star. I love watching your face as I read these. And now for some more analysis and outtakes from our episode on The Grapes of Wrath.
3. Quiz.
Go on.
Who holds the record for the shortest screen performance that got nominated for an Oscar?
Shorter than Anthony Hopkins, I'm guessing? Silence of the Lambs? That was about 20 minutes?
Yep, shorter than that.
Oh, Judi Dench, you mean, in Shakespeare in Love?
No. Hermione Baddeley, I think her name is.
Who is that?
For a 2.5 minute screen time in Room at the Top, 1959.
I don't know what
That's
that
my
is.
trivia piece of the week.
Yeah, I don't have a cold open, so we're gonna just have to...
Oh, that was it.
Oh, yeah, that was exquisite.
I thought it was good. It was sort of mildly amusing and had a factoid.
Mild is taking a
I think
lot of the brunt there.
your standards are way too high.
Yeah, because I'm producing art.
I was going to say, have you seen the film?
No.
Me neither, but I've seen the trailer. Mm-hmm. And I often say this, but I'm going to say it here because we're recording, and I think it needs to go out there.
Go on.
While film in general is going through a bad moment, the trailer has definitely improved, hasn't it? It's a bad trailer for The Grapes of Wrath.
Oh, you mean films in general and
Film as an art
trailers
form has
degraded
lately, but trailers are really good, which maybe just tells us all we need to know about. But because it was a terrible trailer.
I remember that the trailers from, sort of the pre-50s, they just tell you the entire story and they make it look dull on top of it.
This doesn't do that. This is even worse. This is lots of people in bookshops going, can I have a copy of The Grapes of Wrath? The Grapes of Wrath? The Grapes of Wrath? The Grapes of Wrath? The most popular book. Which studio is going to get the funding for it? You're going to pony up the dash. We did at Metro Goldwyn Mayer. I can't remember which one it was, but it's all about just buying the rights to the book.
That is psychotic.
I know.
That is the weirdest trailer.
It goes against the spirit of the book.
Yeah, I know.
Service station toilets aren't very nice. I love service stations. I don't know about you. They're fascinating.
They are. Yeah. Where you're just like, ooh, sushi. That's an interesting choice for
I'm inordinately entertained by them.
Yeah.
And, they hit me on the level that maybe not that they're meant to, but they work for me.
That was the most disappointing thing about going to Portugal is how normal all of their grocery stores were.
What do you mean normal?
Well, I love going abroad and going to a grocery store and just seeing the different. I went to Spain and they just had a pig brain out in their deli, and I'm Portugal, totally normal.
Oh.
Everything was just. The funniest thing I found was a brand of bagels called Bimbo Bagels. That was the extent of it.
There shouldn't be bagels there anyway. That reeks of globalism.
I mean, there were probably always Jewish people in Portugal.
Oh yeah, the
But-
Sephardim and stuff. But did they produce bagels? Isn't that an Ashkenazim?
I don't know, but anyway.
Whatever.
Well, that's moving to Bookends. That whole second.
So, what I would do is, if I went to California, is run a big chicken shop, like in that film,
Mildred Pierce.
Mildred Pierce. I run a big chicken and waffle shop.
I love that I knew exactly what you were talking about from Chicken Shop.
That's what she runs. Yeah. Oh, I love that I got what you were referring to by referring to it.
She runs a chain of restaurants.
Yeah.
It's not a chicken shop. I was like, chicken farmer? What sort of shop?
No, I'm thinking like UK fried chicken or all those fake
Gotcha.
Dixie
Okay.
fried chicken, Pat Dixie chicken.
Okay.
It's like one of them, isn't it?
You could have her ugly haircut and all of her ugly brooches as well.
Gladly. That's just one of the perks.
Be careful, you might raise a real ungrateful daughter who's tired of you and all your stink of grease.
I thought she was called Vico, but she's not. She's called
You would have a daughter named
my daughter Vico. Yeah.
I look forward to your daughter running away with your husband one day, your second husband.
What a thing to say.
You have to have a first husband first.
That's true.
So I'd get on that.
Hooverville, do they call it?
Is this a Hooverville or is that like the actual hobos?
They call it a Hooverville.
Do they?
That's
Okay.
good, yeah.
All right.
You're asking whether an informal town, if it's the right kind of informal town.
Well,
Come on.
No, because I thought they talked about the bit later when Uncle John goes and gets drunk, and then he gets in with the proper
Oh, maybe I'm
homeless.
wrong then.
I thought they called that the Hooverville. I thought that was a different thing.
Technically, this is not a true shanty town. This is a, what? We cut to an allegorical chapter from the perspective of a used car salesman. It's a bit of a sort of prose poem bit, this, isn't it? Almost, yeah. Just thought, concept album. Good to do that? This would be a good song, I'm thinking, from the point of view of the car salesman.
Actually, that would be a great You hate concept albums. What are you talking about?
Change my mind.
Are you drunk? What is happening with you today?
I'm like Jim Casey. I used to hate concept albums, and now
You've seen
I've had
the
a complete
truth.
flip, and I love them. The songs shouldn't have to be separate from each other. They should all point to an overall narrative theme.
How about you keep going with the overall narrative theme and do the script?
Good point. Worth the hoorays, I thought.
Worth the hoorays. It lifted me up from the depression,
Yeah.
the Great Depression.
Yeah.
That's how good our outtakes were. Anyway, let's move on to the Bad Sex Awards. Now, this is a note that for the next maybe up to 5 minutes, this is not going to be safe for work. This is going to be explicit content.
This is just for you and me, listener.
So this is a literary award, sort of quote unquote, that started in 1993 to celebrate the worst written sex scenes in literature. We are currently on 1995, where the winner is Philip Kerr, maybe Philip Kerr. I don't know how you pronounce your last name, Philip.
That's losing you points. Not you, him, Philip.
And this is from his book Grid, which is also called Gridiron in some areas.
What's sexier, a grid or a gridiron?
Oh, well, you might like this. It's a thriller about an architect unveiling his hyper-technological new building, only to discover after some mysterious deaths that the building's grid is killing them all off.
Why does that sound like something I would like?
Because it's a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Which one?
Wasn't it a Pierce Brosnan one with the...
That one that's a parody of Hal.
Yeah.
The other day I had this brilliant thought that Hal is like Bartleby. You know, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. And other people have thought that anyway. I found an article about it.
Oh, sorry.
By Jay Clayton, the great Jay Clayton.
So, Daniel, would you like to read the winning passage?
Gladly.
And give us a sexy voice, right?
Okay,
Jenkins Smith After Dark.
Yeah. His tremulous thumbs gathered the elastic waist of her panties
Ew.
and plucked them down over the twin golden domes of her behind. The bum cheeks. And back up over the suspended sentences and Sobrani filter tips of her stocking tops. Did we get that?
Nope, not. Keep going.
As obligingly, she brought... It's good to clarify that it was obliging, isn't it? She brought her knees up to her chest. She straightened her feet, and the little stealth bomber of black lace and silk was his.
So he took her scanties off, is what that whole paragraph amounted to. But like over under the garter.
That whole over under bit, I was like, I don't know what's going on there. It's a bit too much for me. That is. Anyway, it keeps going. Quickly, he threw off his own clothes and rolled on top of her. Just rolling back and forth. Detaching mind from over-eager Nomon and its exquisitely appointed shadowy task, he made love to her.
Oh.
Nomon.
So Nomon, that's one of the... I think that was the word that sort of pushed this over into the winning excerpt, because a Nomon is the metal pin on a sundial.
Well, it's just the shape, isn't it? It's a geometric term. Our good friend, Mr. James Joyce, makes heavy use of that term.
Okay.
So this guy, Mr. Philip Carr, is probably thinking he could borrow a little from James Joyce. Stick to toilet seats. If you're going to borrow sex stuff from James Joyce, do toilet seats,
yeah,
please.
do lots of poop stuff if you're going to borrow from James Joyce.
And
if you guys don't know what we're talking about, look it up. I want to see what your Google search brings up for you.
Anyway, yeah, that was terrible. It was really convoluted and silly.
It was, I don't want logistics in my sex scene. It's like that scene on Secret Diary of a Call Girl, where she's like, so he had one hand there, he had one hand there, he had one hand there, and her editor's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How many hands does this man have? It felt a little like that.
Yeah.
Alright, so that ends the sexy bit. For now, anyway. Who can tell where this will go? So now, let's get to some more general questions or points. You had a question, didn't you?
Well, it came from In the Grapes of Wrath, because
the title is based on a song.
No. No, that is true. But no, because Woody Guthrie wrote 2 songs, parts 1 and parts 2, The Ballad of Tom Joad. I love Woody, but these are really dull. And he didn't even read the book, he saw the film.
Oh, okay.
But they're rubbish anyway.
Okay.
But I was thinking, what is your favourite song based on a work of literature?
I've really struggled with this one. Sympathy for the Devil, I think? Master and Margarita?
Oh, yeah.
What about you?
Mine is by a little lady called
Kate Bush.
Kate Bush. Do you know what the song is?
Running Up the Hill. And it's about...
Is that about... I thought that was all about Wilhelm Reich.
No, Running Up the Hill is, you know those Jack and Jill stories? It's based on that. You know, they went up the hill. Okay.
All right.
I'm assuming you're talking about Wuthering Heights.
I am not talking about Wuthering Heights. I'm actually talking about The Sensual World.
Which is based on?
Ulysses.
Oh, I thought it was going to be on that Court of Thorns and Roses. The Sensual World. Because we also know that you are into erotic wing play.
I do believe in fairies. Need I say more? It's about Molly Bloom's soliloquy. It's the one where she tried to use actual dialogue or actual lines from Joyce, and the Joyce estate sued her. So she sort of slightly altered it.
Oh, yeah, they're very litigious from what I understand.
Well, it's because he has some weird nephew, but I think that guy's dead now, so I think they've mellowed a bit.
Okay.
Because she has actually released what she
original.
intended to do.
Okay, so now we should go to what we are currently reading, watching, and playing. Have you seen any good TV? I've been watching some very good TV at the moment. You
go first then.
Well, I've watched 2 shows. I've watched Ripley and Fallout. And Daniel, you and I teach.
I was going to say.
We teach the talented Mr. Ripley.
Talented Mr.
I actually do teach both of those.
Oh, my joke doesn't work.
It doesn't work when I do actually teach Fallout 4, don't I?
It's just a serious remark on my part, yeah.
So, Daniel and I, in our film class, we do adaptations, and we teach both the book and film Talented Mr. Ripley. I'm going to love talking about this TV show. And then I teach a post-apocalyptic module, actually you do as well. And we have Fallout 4 on the assignment sheet. That's one of the texts you can write about for your essay. Have you seen Ripley?
No. I heard it's really good.
It's so good. I think you would like it because it's much closer to the book.
That's what I heard, yeah. Because I didn't really like the film that much, but I do like the book.
It's so stylish. It's really, reinvigorated noir in a way I hadn't quite anticipated. And Andrew Scott, I know everyone freaks out about him as Hot Priest or whatever. He's good in everything. That is not a lazy actor. You never, can see him working, but by God, you know he's put effort into this. He makes really thoughtful choices.
I heard it's a bit more sort of nihilistic, like the book.
Absolutely.
Whereas the film is kind of a bit, sort of more...
passionate, emotional,
there we
warm.
go. I couldn't think of any of those words, because they're anathema to me, but yeah.
Yeah, it's very cold, opportunist.
Good, yeah.
The word I keep seeing is reptilian, and that's exactly what it is.
Very good, yeah. What was the other one again?
Fallout.
Yeah.
It was a good process of adaptation. They really took a huge video game and managed to turn it into a show that works as a show.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I like Bethesda. Mm-hmm. I like Morrowind.
I know you do.
They should make a TV program on Morrowind.
Isn't that just a lot of weird, logistics and admin?
And big mushrooms.
Oh, now we're getting back into the sexy stuff. Careful, people. What else are you doing? Have you seen any films? Are you watching anything? Playing anything?
I saw Oppenheimer.
Yeah?
Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, yeah. I'm familiar.
It's alright. Well, as you well know, I taught at that film class that I teach, I taught a big biopic thing. And it was very biopic-y. That bit, have you seen it?
Yes, I have. I was really disappointed in it.
Yeah,
it should have been a mini-series. It was way overstuffed.
Well, or just about Los Alamos, the best bit. But that first bit where he's all running around, drawing on blackboards, listening to the Rite of Spring, talking about science, and we see firework, computer-generated stuff. That is also tacky biopic stuff. We can't really express to you dunderheads in the audience how quantum physics works. So we'll just get him to look at a modernist painting and then go on a blackboard and talk about how time is weird.
This is funny because I watched that and was thinking all the feverishly talking to people and writing on blackboards. I was if Daniel ever sees this is the scene. He's gonna hate this shit.
Well, I considered stopping watching it.
So did I.
Yeah, but the Los Alamos stuff was good, and it was I like that stuff because it was very explicitly anti-nuclear war as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
You playing anything at the moment?
You know what I started playing? Disco Elysium.
You did?
Yeah, that's very good, isn't it? It's very clever.
Oh, I'm so pleased that you're playing it. Yeah, 'cause I've only played it the once, but I'd love to do it again. But it's only a short little game.
Is it? Oh.
I think it's maybe 15 hours, maybe.
Oh. Well, I'm drawing it out. Let's put it that way.
But that you can play it multiple times.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Because you can give your character different emphases and stuff, can't you?
Yeah, I tried to play it really safe, and they gave me the badge I got was world's most boring bastard or something like that. So I was okay, all right, fair. Well, good. I look forward to hearing how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do we have anything else?
What about books? I read a book, Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House.
That one doesn't count because you're doing it for the book group.
Oh wait, because this will be out after the book group.
Yes.
Oh, but it's very good. We haven't done the book group yet, but if you want to be a patron, you can join us for discussion. I'm doing a bit of a plug. Do you see that?
No, I see that.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
Not a very good one.
It's not the best plug because this event has already happened.
Yeah, but there are future book groups, I imagine.
I am imagining.
It's not where the world's... it might, actually.
Don't say that.
Yeah. It's not a good plug also because I interrupted myself halfway through. But that's the sort of unique Daniel touch you get with my plugs. So, but I thought it was very good anyway. The Haunting of Hill House.
On that note, the note of unique Daniel touch,
Yeah.
which is not a phrase I want. Yeah, thank you guys. Please write into our email. You know the gist by now. If you want to suggest books or you just want to say hello, we love that. We love hearing from you. And we will be back in a couple of weeks with our next episode.
Good birth of letters, I thought.
Good birth.
With like an E.
Oh,
Do people say that?
no.
Well, we got a lot of letters, is what I was saying, so keep it up. Thanks for listening to Save Me From My Shelf. Our music is The Overture to Don Giovanni by Mozart, and cover art is by Catherine Wu. Our thanks to Aston University's Centre for Critical Inquiry into Society and Culture for funding the startup of this podcast. Contact us at savemefrommyshelf@gmail.com or at SMFMS_podcast on Twitter. And do not, I'm going to remind you, do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Do not forget. Thank you.